So today, I want to look directly at all of the classes as they pertain towards leveling groups or their leveling situations. So it's focused primarily on leveling groups, and maybe we'll touch on group compositions. Maybe we won't. Probably. Why not? Where they will fit in group compositions. I did a whole video on this yesterday, and I finished editing it, and then I was watching it back and realized, why didn't I just do a tier list? Even though tier lists are massively meme, it is easier to see things in a ranking system towards the end than it is to do anything else. Anyone else noticing Insane Honor in Warsong Gulch? They actually fixed a bug where you were getting incorrect honor for Call to Arms. So yes, you are getting like twice as much honor right now. This weekend is going to be crazy for people. Everyone should go farm honor. So you wasted all that time farming Alterac Valley when you could get it in twice as fast with Warsong Gulch pre-made. Okay. Tier list. Let's just do it simple like this is, right? S, A, B, C, D. Sure. None of these, if I put it in whatever tier, it's not going to be like in an order within that tier. Okay. And then I also want to make one more tier. Can I, how do I do that? Add row below. And this tier is going to be the same color. I don't care. And this is going to be called healers. You know why? Because I honestly think every healer, and this is a totally based opinion. So if you're watching this right now, or you think that I'm not going to get into real things in a second, the first thing I'm knocking out is just that healers, I don't know how any of them are better than others in a dungeon situation. You would want a healer that does the most damage, which is probably the disc, right? Or in a dungeon cleave group, realistically, you're probably bringing, like, if you could, your paladin would just go ret, or your shaman's enhance, and it's a spell hands, as meme as everyone wants to say that is. That's great, right? Let's move down the list. Let's go to tanks also. Let's go through tanks first. Prop Paladin. That's an easy one. Prop Paladins work in every single group composition. Literally, it doesn't matter if you are doing a melee cleave or a spell cleave, but a Prop Paladin would excel better in a spell cleave because you need to pull really, really big to take a lot of damage, right? And you also have insane AoE threat. So in any group that can do ridiculous AoE, the Prop Paladin is going to excel. They're not going to be in like a melee cleave group. Like if you're doing Utgard Keep, I would way rather have a Prot Warrior. You also do get Divine Plea at 71, so your issues are only till 71, but you're pre-questing if you're looking towards min-maxing this anyways, so you're already 71. All of the tanks are actually very solid, but let's just, the places they excel the most is in a spell cleave situation. Let me pull up. Oh, 107. I'm so excited for this. Let me pull up I have a raid comp thing here, right? Prot Paladin goes into a spell cleave group. Okay, cool. Prot Warrior. Everyone who thinks Prot Warrior sucks for leveling has no idea what they're talking about, right? Prot Warrior, everyone knows now, and there's no like ones ahead of the other. Everyone knows by now, or should know by now, that Prot Warrior in dungeons is like the fucking most insane thing ever, although you need to not be pulling like ridiculously large, right? You're obviously not even running really like deep prot, right? You're a revenge build. It is also probably one of the most fun classes in the entire game to play, correct? I'm just even gonna make like, here we go. This is row above. This is just gonna be tanks, okay? All tanks are great, but Prot Warrior, where it excels, is dungeons like Utgard Keep. Then you would move into something like Old Kingdom. Then you would move into like Gundrak, and then you would move into Halls of Lightning. Not Halls of Stone. Never level in Halls of Stone. There's like that whole RP section that takes like 7 minutes to waste your time. Don't do that. Terrible. Prod is ridiculously strong, crazy DPS. No other tank will output even half of the DPS. You're probably out DPSing all of your DPS classes, even if they're in full base gear. Prot Warrior is ridiculous. It does need to have the threat on everything to do the damage, but Prot Warrior, where it excels also is solo farms and like a 2-man group or a 3-man group where you just run with a healer or like run with like a ret paladin that throws some heals at you every now and then. You would dumpster leveling. It would be crazy, right? That would be amazing. Prot Warrior, amazing. Prot Paladin, the best thing for Prot Paladin is if you had like rocket boots and you would just do huge pulls all the way to the boss and then do it. Blood DK, technically, you're probably rarely running blood itself. You're either running a blood hybrid. Let me check. You're either running like a blood hybrid, not the spec that I'm running here, but you definitely need to go down into 2 things. You need to go get morbidity if you're running blood, and you need to get corpse explosion. Corpse explosion is phenomenal snap threat. So blood decays are a lot better than most people think for dungeon leveling if you do grab corpse explosion, because you can drag the last mob of every pull into the next pull, corpse explode it, boom, snap threat established. The only issue usually is people just have morbidity or just have death and decay as their like threat modifier. For AoE threat, this is just useless. Everyone knows that on single target threat, Icy Taunt is ridiculous. You literally Icy Touch one thing and it has a 14 times threat modifier. It's the most ridiculous single target threat there is. Okay, moving on though, that's what you're either gonna do or you're just gonna go Frost. I think 90% of leveling DKs that are tanking are just going to level as Frost. You grab Howling Blast and you grab Morbidity. You pretty much have AoE threat on every pull. And you're a DPS class. I would pretty much suggest that. And then when you can, you just grab Corpse Explosion. You're juiced up, right? That's pretty much what I would suggest 99% of Paladin, 90% of DKs do. Unless you're solo farming things like Utgard Keep, which I got this awesome build from my buddy Supremes in Salad Bakers, who made a YouTube video about it. Or you could be just face tanking dungeons your first way up. There's Botanica Farm. There's a couple other ones that like old dungeons, or even Utgard that you could face tank. Slashum made a video on face tanking Utgard, and it was like and Botanica. I think he made a video on Botanica that was like 900,000 XP per honor, which is really solid, especially if you get the 10% experience buff, which is called Brewfest Enthusiast. It's funny because I made a video about this last night. Enthusiast. So 10% experience buff, phenomenal for everyone doing these dungeon leveling. Make sure you grab it. It is a 2-hour buff. That's so much experience. Okay. All right. That's Blood Decay. Moving on. Feral Druid. Interestingly, also obviously amazing, but it'd be weird to say it's the weakest, but it's not by any real means. It's not going to slow you down. They have insane damage. They have consistent AoE. They have consistent threat. You're always moving forward. You also bring crit for everybody. They're phenomenal. They're not like, by saying it's the weakest is just be saying, because if you're playing right with these ones, you can pull bigger and faster. But if you're in like a melee cleave, this would excel in a melee cleave. Prot Paladin and DK can excel in any group. And these two would excel mostly in melee cleaves, right? Okay. All right. Moving on to the DPS, because that, I don't care. Where is even subtlety? Is that even, did they even add that to the list? Rogues unfortunately are one of the worst classes for dungeon leveling. Until you can get Phantom Knives, rogues don't excel ridiculously well in dungeon cleaves, unfortunately. It is a... Yeah, I would say most people are going to have the worst experience with a Death Knight tank. Yeah, that is fair, Snap. But if he's doing it well, if he's playing the way I described, you'll be phenomenal. But 90% of DK tanks are going to be like Deep Blood and have 0 AoE threat. So let's actually say they're the worst for general. Phantom Knives level 66. By then it's too late. You're behind the curve. realistically, if you're in a dungeon group as rogues, technically you're kind of griefing your group. But it's more to play with friends. You're not taking it like you're trying to level super fast. It would probably be faster to quest. It legitimately would be. In an open world where there's no issues, it's almost faster to quest anyways. Or it is faster to quest. Shadow Priest, similar situation. Rogues have a 2-minute CD on any of their cleave, and it only hits one other target. Shadow Priests have to wait till it's at 71 for Mindseer, and then even then, Mindseer not necessarily the strongest of the AOE's. So the first level, I guess if you pre-quest, it doesn't matter. You instantly have Mindseer, right? Is this one assassination? This one's combat? I get confused about the look of them. So. Realistically, all rogues are just not doing so hot. And so Shadow Priest also not doing so hot. Shadow Priest, just go solo questing. You never have to stop. Shadow Priests are one of the best classes for solo questing. Yeah, rank 1 classic rogue, by the way. I was rank 1 in the world multiple times. But I don't care. Shadow Priest, just go solo questing. You're phenomenal for solo questing. Just go do that. Should we get into the juice? Should we get into the juice? Is Dar still here to argue? Unholy Death Knight. An Unholy Death Knight fits in... Oof, get out of here. What did I just ruin? Okay, an Unholy Death Knight fits in both compositions. If you're sitting with like a caster cleave... Frost, whatever. If you're sitting with a caster cleave group, an Unholy Death Knight is absolutely amazing because it puts up a Curse of Elements on literally every mob. If you're in a melee cleave group, that means you're probably doing something like Utgard Keep, and you are pulling slightly smaller than you would in something like Nexus, which would be amazing for caster cleaves and stuff like that. In Utgard Keep, then Unholy DK also excels because things live for longer and you can have your dots just stacking up on them, and then your Death and Decay comes up whenever you group everything up. You can do a crazy amount of damage. Also, if you're leveling as for a dungeon cleave, you're also making sure you get Corpse Explosion, boom, 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 and just Corpse Explode your own ghoul every 1 minute, or because you need to get your ghoul back. Corpse Explode, not every 1 minute, every 30 seconds, because you need to get your ghoul back. Corpse Explode your own ghoul for huge AoE threat, and then Corpse Explode everything else. You can have the Corpse Explode macro for that. It's actually in my DK macros if you want it. Unholy is absolutely S tier for all compositions. There's definitely gonna be people playing Unholy DK though, and not excelling. That's another one. DK is one of the ones where it's like player over class sometimes, but Unholy should be absolutely S tier. Yes, there's lockouts in Karazhan now. They literally ninja put that in minutes ago. I would say 20 minutes ago, whenever we started doing this, right? We're doing right now. All right. Frost Death Knight. Also fucking S tier. Come at me. Frost DK, absolutely insane. If you're doing Nexus runs, Frost DK shatters everything. Frost DK, if it gets its procs, is gonna be unreal on overall damage throughout a raid or a dungeon. In the Nexus, everything dies too fast for Unholy to even stack up unless you're doing Corpse Exploding all the time and just getting your dots up. But like realistically, Frost could even beat Unholy in the Nexus. But then as you move towards the higher level dungeons, I would prefer to be Unholy. As you move towards anything past Nexus, I would prefer to be Unholy, but Frost DK obviously brings your melee haste buff, and it just has crazy snap AoE damage like all the time. Whenever you have a Rhyme proc, your Howling Blast pretty much destroys the entire group. Frost is amazing. S is in suck. Maybe Frost might be A. After the beginning, Frost might drop down to A. But you should just tank as Frost anyways. Or unless you're doing Corpse Explodey. Frost might drop down to A. But that's fine. Boomkin. Where do we think Boomkin is, chat? It's either A or S. I would put Boomkin more as A, realistically. Its AoE damage isn't as solid as other classes, but it can consistently do AoE. It also may be S tier for whenever Starfall's up, you can time it so that Starfall pulls every mob in Narnia, because that's what you want to do in your dungeon leveling group. You want to pull everything. Consistent damage. Is there mana issues in dungeon groups? I have not seen. I think it's realistically more of an A than an S tier. S when Starfall is up, but it's not always up, right? But you do want to use Starfall to pull more also if you can. People are saying Care Lockout is a bug right now. I hope so. With Omen gets free hurricanes, but Omen was bugged the first time they implemented it on the beta, where you got it a free hurricane every time. You never had a mana issue. They fixed it. Feral Druid, Feral Druid. B tier. B tier? I think Feral Druid should sit. If you're a Feral, you should quest. So the thing about Feral Druid is in 5-man dungeon groups, even then you see it in heroics, unless you're pulling ridiculously large, your AoE is not that great. You don't get bleeds up. Everything dies too fast. I think Feral should, if you're a Feral Druid, I think you should quest. Feral's like, yeah, exactly. Phenomenal at questing, just like Shadow Priest. I think you should just stick to questing. You think Assassination Rogue should be higher in a dungeon leveling group? This is purely dungeon leveling. We're looking at dungeon leveling for the most part. There's no way you would bring an Assassination for your dungeon leveling group if you're going try hard. Yeah, this is purely dungeon leveling, guys. We're looking purely at dungeon leveling. And the reason why I brought Frost down is past the Nexus. I would rather have Unholy. I would prefer to have both. I think they could both sit in S tier, but I think I definitely have a bias towards Frost, and I think Frost should be up here, but the general consensus of the world is that Unholy is amazing. So I like both. I just want Frost to be the best in the world. Okay. Yeah. I'm coping, and I'm giving you guys what you want. Oh, look at that. BM Hunter. Get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out of here. Marksman versus Survival Hunter. Marksman and Survival Hunter. If you're leveling in a dungeon cleave group, go volley spec. The volley spec, I made a video about it. Go volley spec. It is absolutely fucking insane. You never have issues with mana if you start by going through the Nexus into Old Kingdom as your next thing. You're absolutely fucking huge. Your damage, I've never had someone beat me on DPS in a dungeon group yet. And that's a dungeon leveling group playing with a lot of people from a lot of really good guilds, obviously with full bisque gear. None of the DKs had full bisque gear, and I think a demo lock that was really good would be crazy. That's not Hunter Copium, dude. Volley readiness trap spec is just unbelievable damage, unbelievable overall damage, and you have no issues with threat or mana if you do two things: suck up on fucking fell mana pots. Suck up on mana pots and use Serpent Sting. Viper Sting. Viper Sting into Chimera Shot on any mob that has a lot of mana. You are absolutely unreal. Your mana will never run out. You do stupid damage. You do stupid damage. And it's pretty much the same thing for Survival, although Survival is more of a consistent, I think, at a later I think once you go like level 76-ish, I would swap to Survival and be less of the pure volley spec. But I don't know if I put Survival in S with that or if it goes in A. What are we thinking, chat? All three spec have their own ups and downs. I feel equal for leveling. I'm so curious to see your BM spec. I just did not. I straight up just haven't tried it. Survival, not pushback. Not having pushback, protection on volley is large downside. Also, your volley does a lot less damage, but you're rotating things like explosive shot on different mobs. Survival really excels in like heroics also, where I think in dungeon leveling, things are still gonna die too fast. I think this A tier is very close to the S tier. It's not like this is a large gap whatsoever. I think this is extremely close, and also nothing's in an order. Right? We talked about this. This is purely for dungeon leveling. Nothing's in an order. Sleeper spec. Sleeper spec. Come at me. I think Ret should be in the S tier. These Rets always are pressing W. They do crazy AoE damage in dungeons. They excel in dungeons. Excel. They fall off super hard in like 10. Well, not super hard in 10, but definitely super hard in 25 man, right? But in dungeon leveling right now, they're so geared. They pump crazy damage. They're never and also your Ret could just be your healer. If there was an A plus or S minus, I'd put, yeah. So like Ret, I'd like to put it right here, but we don't have. So Ret is crazy strong in dungeon cleave groups, and your Ret could just be your healer, right? Again, nothing is in a particular order within these breakup. Ret's ridiculous. You know what else is ridiculous? Probably maybe even the most ridiculous. What? Demonology Warlocks. That's like an easy S tier. That was like the easiest S tier of your life. Demolocks obviously excel in like a caster cleave group, but reject Ret healers, embrace spell hands. But they can excel pretty much anywhere. Demo don't need everyone else to be giving you something to be strong. All Warlocks are strong, but for leveling compositions, I don't know why you would bring a Destro lock. But maybe I need Crix here or Chairlock here or someone to like give an argument for the Destro lock. I don't see why you would bring anything over the Demo lock. But you could bring 2 Warlocks, right? It makes, I don't think there's any sense to go Destro for leveling, right? In this, Shadow Fury is nice, but Demo's just way better, right? Shadow Fury is utility, but you don't need utility. You're not going to die in these dungeon groups. We're anticipating you have basically Bisque gear, right? Demo's just king, right? I guess Affliction can go up here, but why would you even, if you only have one? The one that I think, all right, we're getting towards where I need chat to chime in more. We're getting towards where I need chat to chime in more. You can go down here also, I guess. Mages. What's the best mage spec in the dungeon leveling groups? Solo leveling, it would obviously be fire. Dungeon leveling, bro, fire, things die too fast for your fire to do enough, right? It's solid with flame strike, but you can't, like, if things lived for a really long time, fire would like shoot to Giga S tier, right? The issue is we're killing things in seconds. 5 seconds. You think a 5 seconds for one. You also have your GCD, right? I think it's arcane with Imp Blizzard also. I think it's arcane with Imp Blizzard. The Arc Frost combo is the strongest strongest spec. Flame Strike, uncapped AoE, everything's already dead. Fire in a 3-man dungeon team, good call, got game. They can go into the B tier. Frost also then in the B tier. Arcane Frost. Are you giving it S or A? I'm thinking A. But Blizzard can do a shit ton of damage. Arcane for sure, but Warlock does more. I think just things die. Things die and you're pulling too quickly. But in a caster cleave group, you have this different thing, right? And again, this is Arcane Frost, right? In a caster cleave group, you've got this like beautiful world of pulling it all, like as much as possible, into one position and then DPSing it down. The crazy thing though, even with Arcane, I would even in a caster cleave group, a volley trap spec marksman hunter would literally do more damage. Even with improved blizzard and like you're popping all your CDs, if you add readiness up, your warlock, your hunter is pummel. Are you joking? Have you not seen hunter damage? Yeah, Sunwell is literally everything's dead instantly. What do you get? If you can kill everything within one Howling Blast, literally that was the whole point of why I said Frost would be S tier at the beginning. At the beginning, everything dies in one Howling Blast. In Nexus, Frost goes in and just destroys everything. Yeah, you're only volley spec or bust. You literally have to be volley spec or bust. You have to be volley spec or bust. Dungeon priority list to share? Yeah, here, let me grab it. Okay. I need your guys' help. Shamans. All right, I'm going to share this file with you guys. This is made by Baron and a lot of the boys in Fusion. This is showing XP per hour or XP per run in 5-man groups. This is 5-man. Groups as 5-man. I would say most group compositions you're running 4. Realistically, most of the time you'd probably go for a 4-man situation. If you're running like with a Prot Warrior, I would love to go Prot Warrior. I would love to go with like something like this. This is your group. You could literally clear all the way up to level 70, level 80. Maybe start as Frost, but even then, I think maybe start as Frost and then go Unholy. But yeah, yeah. This is saying, oh, this is going to be a lot longer than you're going to take. I think the BIS group compositions, I think you're going to go a lot faster. And you can level that faster in questing, uncontested questing on a fresh, like boosted geared Death Knight with no consumes with the rested XP guide was taking about 19 hours. So now factor in having consumables and full base gear. Yeah. Prot Warrior, Ret, Frost, Ret, Holy, Prot, Ret, Disc. I think, dude, the people that were saying Ret shouldn't be, Ret is so strong. Ret is so strong. It is so strong and it brings so much, like you just heal and you bring your blessings and you do so much damage in full base gear. In full base gear right now, Ret does crazy. For leveling groups, I'm not actually sure how Spellhand Shaman is going and as well as Elemental Shaman. I know Warriors can be great. I know I think this, call me copium, I think Warriors can be in the A tier, but that's because you're always pressing W. They have to be in a melee cleave group for it to excel like that. But
I'm not at the beach, this is a bathtub.
LA Shaman, not terrible, just other classes do what they do way better. I kind of wanted to put Arms as S tier. This tier list is purely for dungeon leveling. I kind of wanted to do Arms as S tier. But we haven't done it yet. What are you, Dr. Doom? We haven't, it's right here. How do we feel about Arms as S tier, guys? For leveling, it's so good, right? Arms feels shitty for dungeons. I feel like it pumps in dungeons though. Why bring out Arms when you can bring a second Ret Paladin? That's realistically not a terrible take. It's not a terrible take. I'm not even joking. It's so funny how Ret Paladin is going to be so powerful in these leveling groups, and then just like everyone is going to think, holy crap, I'm phenomenal. And then they're going to get into the Nax raids, and every raid is going to be like, we're only bringing one of you. What hunter talents are you running? I have an entire hunter leveling guide on YouTube. I need to have it linked here on Twitch. There's a marksman, a volley trap build that is insane for dungeons. Insane. Absolutely insane. Yeah. I'd rather play Prot over all over Warrior. I really don't. That's why I'm thinking A tier. If you're leveling as a Warrior, I don't really know why you're not running as Prot. I don't know why you're not leveling as Prot. It's so fun, and you can actually pretty much out-level almost anyone else. It's one of the best leveling specs by far. Right? Okay. Ellie Shaman. Is it sad to put Ellie Shaman as B tier? Would this be rude? The title of the Volley Hunter video, let me go grab it. The only reason I'm saying that, Shamans obviously bring totems, but an enhanced Shaman kind of does the same thing with more consistent damage, and then also can just get all the instant heals. Bloodlust won't reset on dungeon bosses. There's no way a dungeon boss lives for 30 seconds. No shot. Dungeon bosses live for like 23 seconds. And that actually would be longer than I actually think a dungeon boss would live. So let me see. Here we go. This is the guide. Guys, it is... Hi guys, my name is Sarthe. My name is Sarthe, and you guys are idiots for playing Hunters wrong. Don't you do it, Ellie Shaman Bisty? Yes, You guys are so dumb. You're playing Hunter wrong. All right, what are we thinking? This is leveling. This is leveling, not for World Tour at level 80. Because at level 80, rogues can feel a lot better, right? At level 80, you're feeling a lot better. But for leveling, if you're a Shadow Priest or a Feral Druid and you're not tanking, like, why aren't you just leveling in the open world? Right? It's just like such a different world. I think Ellie Shaman, unfortunately, is in B tier because you just would rather bring the other Shamans. You just would prefer to have the other Shamans. And I'm putting spell hands in A tier, not S tier, for two reasons. One, mana, which shouldn't really be an issue if you're using Shamanistic Rage, and if you talent correctly, shouldn't be an issue. But two, I just think the overall population of enhanced Shamans are gonna be catching up to how good they should be. It is phenomenal, but I think the general populace of the people you're gonna meet, maybe that's super fucking fucked up to say, right? But like, wouldn't you it's like the same thing with like your Death Knight tanks. Most of the Death Knight tanks you run into are not gonna be able to hard carry a group to run super fast. I think that's going to be a relatively same situation where Enhanced Shaman could be in the S tier. It also brings amazing like utility. You bring attack power buff. You can bring haste. You can bring obviously bloodlust. They also have their own speed with wolves. Your AoE damage is crazy with Nova. Can't you just DK tank as Frost though? Yes, and that's why most DK tanks should be Frost. I think most, like if not 90% of the DK tanks should be sitting here in Frost. Yeah. You're not specking wolves for leveling? See, well, you don't have that extra speed then. Oh my god, the Ellie Shaman copy pasta. Most players play a game so they can enjoy themselves and have fun. I don't know about the leveling for Enhanced Shaman as well for everyone. So I'm putting it in A. It might be able to claw its way into S. I honestly think Frost is S early on. And dude, fuck me, dudes. Guys, Frost pumps so hard. But I really think the difference here between S and A is very small. Other than like maybe a couple, right? Like Demo Lock is like, yes. Right? Demo Lock, you're sitting there, you're just like, yes. Right? Unholy DK, you can have in every single composition. I don't think mana is going to be an issue for any enhance that's good. Anyone new to enhance? Nah, I feel like we're not looking at people that are newish to the class, right? We're assuming everyone's got full bis. Shamanistic Rage is just crazy. Like you're back to full mana. Our Frost DK tank, he even takes a talent for PvP that freezes everything. That is pretty, I mean, it's useful utility. I mean, it's pretty cool. I'm not sure if it would be best for leveling like super fast, but yeah. Are you saying that Marksman is better than Survival for single target in phase 1? This is not a single target. This is not at all a single target tier list. This is purely a dungeon cleave leveling tier list. Purely a dungeon cleave leveling tier list. And I'm specifically talking about the marksman trap build. Where you make sure that you're getting improved trappings and shit. You're focused on traps and volley damage. Completely you're focusing on traps and volley. You are absolutely focusing on that. Also, just as a caveat for right now, because it's up on my bars, this Luxthos experience bar seems absolutely amazing. Luxthos is like the GOAT. So that's that.